Next up is this Regency CR 142 23 channel AM base station. I don't think I've ever powered this up. I bought it looking like this, so you can see I never even bothered cleaning it. Well, the channel indicator light comes on. And it looks like the meter light, maybe there's two bulbs in there. It's lit but kind of dim. Alright, like most of these radios, it probably requires a microphone to be plugged in before it will give any receive audio. I would say this is one sick puppy. I'll talk about a basic radio. Just looking at this board, that's probably just the same exact board that they use in their mobile radios. And then they've basically put the transformer, filter cap, and a little 12-volt regulator power supply over here and put it in a big case, and now it's a base. So I threw an antenna on this just for the heck of it, and it's actually receiving. I've got it on channel 6. This time of day there's a lot of skip out there, and I can actually even hear the audio very faintly and distorted. So there's something wrong with the audio output section, and it's not the fact that I don't have a microphone in here, because I've tried every combination of possibilities here, and none of them are letting the audio come through. So there's something else going on. The speaker wires go through a hole, and I'm not going to find out where they connect to unless I open this up more, and I just don't have the time to mess with it. So there's an external speaker jack on the back, but I don't think I have. That's probably a 3.5 mil. Probably don't have one. Although I doubt it's the speaker. It's probably something else going on. If I hit the pins together that appear to be to make it transmit, the needle just goes down to 0. It doesn't appear to be outputting any RF. Alright, well, enough of that. This next item is kind of a rare bird. This is a Johnson Viking model 352 mobile, which is a 23 channel sidebander. So it's AM and upper lower sideband. But it's a mobile radio, but it also has the original docking station, which made this a base. So all this is a 12-volt power supply with a speaker inside of a base. And all you do is on the back, they gave you this, get these banana plugs, binding post on the back here. You get a little jumper wire to go to the external speaker. And then you get this quick disconnect for the DC. It does have a inline fuse holder that's broken. The plastic pieces are broken off, but should be able to get it to. I just tried it though, and it won't turn on. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check for 12-volt output. I don't see a switch or anything on the power supply. It almost appears as if by design the power supply is on all the time when it's plugged in. I do hear the power transformer inside humming. Yeah, we got 14.7 volts DC coming out. So, alright, so I had a bad connection here on this sketchy fuse holder, but now I got the power on. Oh, dirty channel selector again. Well, I don't know, maybe since this morning skip conditions have pretty much gone away. Yeah, I was pretty sure I had a microphone for this thing, only I forgot that it was a base microphone. It's got an unusual plug. It's a 5-pin. It's male pins on the plug, as opposed to most radios that have them on the socket. And it's 5-pin. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, the lock is on. I'm like, why is it keying as soon as I plug it in? There we go. Alright. Sure as heck sounds like it's keying. Why is my watt meter not working? Because you didn't plug in the cable, moron. Oh, it skips back. dead keen, just under 4 watts. Suppose it'd be too much to ask that this microphone actually still works, huh? Well, let's scare up a battery and see what happens. Oh, yep, we got audio. I can tell that it's modulating because it's swinging. Would have expected a little more wattage out on sideband. It's only swinging to about 6 watts. There's no clarifier? Must be this fine tune. Yeah, that's what it is. They call it fine tuning. Alright, I think this one works. Well, value on this is going to be a little tricky. The mobile itself is fairly common on eBay, and interestingly enough, with or without the microphone, used condition, they typically trade around $40. The Turner CS1 microphone is pretty common, and the interesting thing about this is, though, the majority of the ones that have sold on eBay were all listed as parts-only units and sold for around $35. I did find one that was $90 or best offer, and they accepted a best offer, and that one had the box, so it was probably in really good shape. This one, being a working microphone, is probably better than a parts-only microphone. How much better remains to be seen. But definitely the real mystery here is this power supply docking station. I did find one that sold that was similar to this. It was just like the shape of this section right here. So it was a power supply with a speaker in it like this. This one has the unique docking area specifically for this model. Maybe there were some other models that would fit on here, but for the mobile to sit right on it. The one that was just like this box alone sold for $50, and it was the only one that I could find. So I think this is a pretty rare unit. Again, how valuable that's going to make it, I don't know. The other thing that's kind of annoying is I can't find a model number anywhere on this docking station. In fact, I'm not entirely sure how you release this from the unit. Oh, it looks like it screws down. There's a sticker under here, but it's just a warning sticker. No model number. Well, I did find one other place on the internet that had one of these. It was just a picture of one, and it only described it as the Viking 352 base dock power supply. So I may never end up finding out what the value is on this, but I think I'm going to ask $100 for the whole setup. Next up, we got a realistic TRC 492 CB base station, the Navajo. Now, for those of you who know CB radio base stations, you would know that back in the day, little old Radio Shack actually sold some decent base radios. The Navajo was one of them. But the Navajo, the Navajo of the 80s is nothing like this. This must have been at the tail end of the Tandy Corporation getting ready to sell out, because this thing just screams cheesiness. I mean, it's 40 channel, which is all right. It's dual power, so you can actually put a plug in here and you could run this in your vehicle off 12 volts, or you flip the switch and you can run it off the internal AC power supply. It has a little bit of stuff kicking around inside there. Doesn't sound metallic though, so should be safe to fire up. Although I know I'm going to take a peek inside of it anyways, so might as well open it up and assuage any misgivings someone might have about hearing stuff kicking around inside there. It's also got signs of corrosion on the screws, and right here the paint's bubbling and we got some serious corrosion. This thing got wet. Guess we better take a look inside. You know, I could easily have just done absolutely nothing as far as looking at these radios or evaluating them. Brought them to the show and just said they're all as is. Just claim I didn't know anything about them, which would have been true if I didn't do any of this evaluation. But I do not want to stick somebody with a radio that, you know, they go to repair it and they find out that, well, the thing was out in the rain somewhere and is just completely corroded and junk, or has been butchered and is missing parts. Oops, missed 2 screws there, dum-dum. I mean, if they know that it doesn't transmit but receives, and decide that they want to just, you know, invest the time in seeing if they can get it going, that's different. that's okay. And of course, I will have adjusted the price accordingly. Yeah, this screw is not going to want to come out. That is going to be a problem. It's right in this corner where all this corrosion is. Let's give my little grab-it screw extractors a try on this job. These have worked for me in the past. Some of these things are gimmicks, but this has not been a total waste. Who am I kidding? I'm the king of used tools. You know I didn't buy these new. Wouldn't even know these existed probably if they weren't in a toolbox that I bought. Alright. So you take the burnishing end and you put it into the screw head and you run it in reverse. So you get a nice clean cone. Not quite there. This also has the effect of heating the screw up, so that's probably part of the magic of this thing. Then you reverse it, you put in the extractor end. This is the smallest one I have, and it might be a little too large for this screw. And now we put it much slower. And with firm downward pressure, we see if we can't get this to grab. Yeah. No, that didn't happen. The problem is that this is too large to actually go in there and do a good job of creating the hole. We'll just drill it out. There we go. Oh, yeah, I'm glad I opened this up. There's a bunch of garbage in here. Oh, actually, that does not look bad at all. That is cleaning up real easily. Whatever it is. Oh, you know what that is? Is that wax? Is that a Pepsi syndrome? So the rattling around noise I was hearing inside is the speaker has actually popped loose from the face frame. Looks like it was just glued in place at the factory. That's interesting. Power's up. LCD's working. Channel select is working. I don't know why I keep thinking that I have one of these, but I do not have any of these microphones that have these 5-pin DIN plugs on them, which are common to the realistic radios and also like the Sears Road Talker, and I think all of these radios probably were made by Midland, because I think it's also common to some of the Midland radios. Anyways, I think 1 and 5 I think gives us receive on this radio. Let's see. Oh no, 1 and 5 gives us transmit. Must be 1 and 3. Oh, that's interesting. I just looked up the pin out here online, and this site says that the 5-pin 1 and 5 are receive, which is what I thought. This just transmitted though when I did 1 and 5. Hold the phone. Guess I shouldn't trust that website. This website says 1 and 5 are transmit, 1 and 4 are receive. Oh, funny guys. All right. Well, we know it has ears. Let's see if it transmits. Heck yeah, it does. Heck, this is putting out more power than the last one. 4 watts, almost exactly, dead key. Maybe that last one was turned down a little bit for running into an amplifier or something. I don't know. Well, I don't have anything to check the modulation, but receive and transmit are good on this thing. This would be a nice little radio for somebody. 40 channel AM, compact, modified cover screws. Sometimes eBay is a valuable aid in trying to determine the value of something. Sometimes it just boggles the mind. Here's the top one right here. This one was sold as parts only radio for $20. The one right below it is the same radio sold with a, looks like they may have included a wonderful little SWR and power meter on the top there. Sold for $150 plus $22.50 shipping. And then the one below it, even further still, $65. And then this one down here, also a used one, free shipping on this one, $169. What am I missing about this radio? Did like Realistic put golden tickets inside certain ones and people are still trying to find those golden tickets? Willy Wacko's CB factory? Well, I'm going to ask $45 for it, and I'll take $35 for it if somebody's willing to give it. And I might actually be able to pick up a microphone for this thing. Lots of times, these guys, they were just boxes of hand mics. Might find one that has the right plug on it, you know, for $5. And the next item is this Realistic DX160 shortwave radio. Cosmetically, it's actually in pretty good condition, other than just being dusty. I bought this out of an estate. Actually, it was at a flea market or a swap meet, and non ham radio or CB related at all. And just by luck, the people happened to have just cleaned out a ham shack, and I ended up getting 2 old transceivers, an old Hallicrafters unit, and a Kenwood, an old one, which if I ever get around to getting my ticket, by ticket I mean license, operator's license, I might try and fix those radios up and actually use them. But this was amongst, I bought it as a package deal. This was amongst the stuff. It even has the original nice little Realistic external speaker, the SP150 communication speaker. Okay, that's a standby switch. Let's just clip a wire on there for its antenna. Well, WWV. So this speaker alone is highly sought after by collectors. Last one of those that sold just on February 27th. 6 bids, $51. Free shipping. You can put that in a medium flat rate box. So the person still netted $40 just for that speaker. Ironically, the cheapest radio sold about a week earlier for $76. Same amount of bids. I wonder if it was the same seller. 70, 80, 75, 85, 65. Here's one with the speaker, $82. Brought 10 bids. So I'll bring it, but if I don't get any decent offers for it, I'll probably hold on to it and do a little bit of work to it. Just cleaning up these controls would do wonders. A lot of that band switching and that is dirty. This is my old Patrolman 9 portable radio. It's got shortwave, marine band, all of that old kind of stuff. I must have dropped this at some point, forgot about it, because this knob is badly bent. Well, maybe some of you want to use it for parts. Guess I'll also sell this little, here's another one of these little portable all-in-one CB radio kits you keep under your seat of your car. It's got a little magnet mount you just slap up on the roof. Plugs right into a cigarette lighter, if your car still has a cigarette lighter. And, you know, it's 40 channel. And this one's even, it's made by GE, it's even called the Help CB radio. Kind of interesting little thing. Oh, one of the things I meant to bring last time and I totally forgot about was this old Hewlett-Packard 204B oscillator. I was going to fix this up and try and use it for myself, but I decided I don't really need it. And the problem with it is that it's actually a, it's supposed to be a portable battery operated unit, I think. And I went online and was able to determine that people have basically created battery eliminators to replace the strange battery setup that used to be in these things. And you know, even if I do that, I don't know whether or not it's going to be very useful. But I guess they were nice little compact generators back in the day. So maybe somebody will want to take that on as a project. All right, we're coming down near the end of the CBs anyways, and then I'll try and get a couple other things on here. I don't want to bring just CB stuff. So this is a Lafayette HE-20C vacuum tube radio. This is another really early one that just had, it had banks that you put the crystals into. So it's only a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 channel radio. And then somebody used one of those label makers and marked exactly what channels they did put in here. So I would say it's got at least 5 by the looks of it. 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, and 23. Then it has a manual tune for the receiver. So I guess it's got full 23 channels receive. It also looks like this might have been modded to put a crystal socket right on the top here. The other crystals would be under here. It's a nice non-polarized plug with no ground. Makes this exciting to work on. Got a meter light. Gonna take a little bit of time for the tubes to wake up. The battery will probably die in the meantime. Getting the low battery warning on the camera, so I guess I should change it out now. You gotta love some of this old gear. Took a little while for it to wake up and had to jiggle some of the knobs in that because all the switches and everything are oxidized and need to be cleaned, but this old puppy is purring like a kitten. So it's got 23 channel tuning, and then flip over. See, there we go, it died again. There we go. So that selector switch is going to need to be cleaned. The spot switch isn't working. The way the spot switch is supposed to work is when you put it into the spot position, and I've got it on channel 11 for instance, there should be a indicator to show me when I have this receiver perfectly lined up with the transmit frequency. So this is a 1/4-inch phone plug, phone jack for the mic. I only have one microphone, this one here, that's wired with a 1/4-inch phone jack, but this has actually got a stereo phone jack on it, and I think this uses a mono, because what happens is when I plug this in, it actually transmits. That's the transmit relay clicking, and if I push down on the push to talk button, the receive comes back on. If I ease up on it, like I said, it transmits, and it's throwing. Oh, this baby's only kicking 2 watts. Well, just under 2.5 watts. So it needs to be tuned up. Value on these kind of a little tough because all of the sold ones that have sold on eBay, the couple that I found, they were all listed as parts only. and they sold for about 20 bucks. And the current ones for sale are all around 20, 25 bucks and also listed parts only. This is a little bit better than parts only. Heck, if I can't get 25 bucks for this, I'll keep it just for the darn octal plug that it's got on the back here. This power plug might be something I need for another radio. Next up, we have we have a radio made by one of the greatest CB-based radio manufacturers there ever was. The big debate is between this company, Browning Laboratories of, I think, New Hampshire, and Tram. So this particular radio here is just the receiver. Browning made these 2-section receiver transmitter units, kind of more like a ham radio back in the day, before the Japanese came on the scene. Anyways, this was made in 1964 to 66. This is the Eagle R27, and this would have been paired with a smaller box, which was the transmitter, which was the S23, I believe. This was later replaced by the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III. This is still considered a Golden Eagle because it's got the Eagle designation. But this is the Mark III was a major improvement over this and came later. Mark III ended up I forgot what that retailed for, but that may have been one of the most expensive CB radio bases to buy back in its day. It's the Cadillac of radios, so to speak. So, interesting thing about this radio is this R27, guess how many of these I have? I think I have 3 of these now that I've acquired. And every single one of them that I acquired, the S23 transmitter was nowhere to be found. My theory is transmitters blow and they end up getting lost, or when estates are cleaned out, somebody recognizes this as the radio and goes, oh, it's a radio, an old radio. The transmitter was very innocuous looking. It looked like basically just this section right here. It's kind of like what the transmitter looked like. So if you didn't know that it was for this radio, you wouldn't know what the heck to do with it. The other problem with the transmitter is the transmitter gets its power off of the receiver. So you've got a octal plug that plugs in here and goes over to the transmitter. And what it does is power B+ comes out of this receiver to go over to the transmitter. And the reason why they did it that way was so that they basically used the relay so that they could shut the power off to the receiver when you transmit. So the power for the receiver also goes out of here, goes through the transmitter, and then comes back. So in order to get this to do anything, you have to jumper out a couple of pins. If you don't have a plug, you have to open it up and jumper it. But I started working on one of these. I don't remember which one it was. May have been this one because I got all the covers off. Actually, this one I don't even know if I have the bottom cover for. I think one of these was missing the bottom cover when I got it. This one looks like, yeah, this one's had some work done to it. I'm looking at 3 resistors put in parallel. So somebody did the old trick of loading up 3 values in parallel to create one value of a resistor that was there that was larger wattage. So by allowing 3 resistors to dissipate the wattage, split it amongst themselves, they got away with lower wattage resistors than what would normally be in there. These diodes look like they might be original, and this capacitor looks like it's a replacement. So I don't know what this one might do. Certainly one way to find out. The exciting way. And first I'm just going to see if anything bad happens without me jumpering anything. Gotta be careful picking this up and stick my fingers underneath there and get some surprises. Alright, so that turns on. That's good. Yep, and I'm getting some audio. Very faint though, so again, gonna have to look this up and take a minute to figure out what I've got to jumper on this thing to get it to go live. Here's a neat old advertisement for the Browning radio setup. $359. And remember, this is back in 1964 to 66. That's what the microphone looked like. It was an unusual looking microphone. I think the Browning Mark IIIs may have come with that microphone for a while, and then eventually they transitioned to I think the 776 microphone they called it, which was looked like a Turner microphone, but it was gold colored. Adjusted for inflation, this radio in today's dollars was about $3,149. That's amazing. Back then in 66, this radio was $359. You could buy a new 1967 Camaro, I think, was like $2,500 was the base price. What is that? That's like 1/8. This radio costs like 1/8 the price of a new Camaro. That's kind of nuts, right? All right, so it's pins 4 and 5 on the octal socket that have to be shorted together to send the B+ that's being sent out to the transmitter's relay contacts, which we don't have hooked up, back to the radio. All right, so I got to rig up a jumper. Oh, I guess now would be a good time to mention, by the way, that voltage that's coming out of this radio, going to the contacts and coming back on that plug, is high voltage. It's the plate voltages. So, a few hundred volts there. Well, okay, if you're really curious, I'll tell you exactly how much. 248 volts. So that'll light your Christmas tree. Oh, I just noticed this is missing a 6BA6 tube. Well, duh. Judging from where I see its location here, and the fact that we've got another one identical to it, 6BA6 here, and a 6BA6 here, I'd say that this is probably an IF amplifier, so first, second, maybe third. I've got a 6AU6, which is a known good substitute for 6BA6. Oh yeah, definitely doing something now. Well, I played around with this thing for a while, and out of the blue, it started to receive, but all I could receive was on channel 6 and 11 when those 10 kW guys, those guys with those huge linears were keying in, shoot and skip. They were coming in really clear, but as soon as they would stop talking, it would just go to silence again. So that was telling me that it was only responding to these really, really big signals. So now I've got my RF generator on there, and I mean, I don't know how many microvolts I'm putting into this thing, but I'm right into the antenna input, and you can hear the tone, but you can hear all the static in the background. That the signal to noise ratio is horrible. So I don't have my alignment tools down here. I could try and align these IF cans, but I'm not going to bother doing that because, you know, I don't even really have a use for this radio. But at least it's not completely dead. The other thing that could be going on with this thing, which I have no way of knowing for sure without doing some in-depth testing, this could have what's called silver mica disease. These IF cans here, all of these tunable coils right here, inside these cans, they have a sandwich of mica material in there, and those act as capacitors across the coils. So it's kind of like a inductor and capacitor in one package, which was great when it worked. Gave these things really good resonance. But the problem is the plastic parts in there age, and they change composition, or dimensionally they change, and that causes a problem with those silver mica capacitor layers in there. So they're right next to these tubes, and they get heated up and they get hot and they change value. So the only way to repair that is to replace these cans, which, if you can get them, you're probably going to run you about $40 a piece. So you can see it's you know, to do all of them would be kind of cost prohibitive. The other thing you can do is, there are ways that you can actually repair these by taking these apart very carefully, removing the mica capacitors that are inside there, and then reinstalling them, and then just tacking in the capacitors on the bottom to make up for the electrical capacity that they'll be missing, and then do an alignment and you're good to go. But unless the radio is really something special, worth that extra time and trouble, you know, you're not going to do it. So I also notice it's drifting off frequency, but that could be my RF generator. I'm running an old Heath kit. Oh, look at that. All of a sudden it's... Suddenly we got a little bit of something going on there. It got a little bit better. Let's see if I can pick up any of the skip guys. Alright, let's shut this generator off. Throw the antenna back on here. I mean, it's just... That's max volume. It's dead silent. Yeah, I don't know what the skip conditions are right now, too. Maybe it's after 9 o'clock. Maybe it has rolled out for the evening. Well, I'm done playing with this thing for tonight. I'm just going to run it over to the Hamfest tomorrow and see if anybody wants to make an offer on it. Here's another R27 I've got. Maybe I only had 2 of these. Thought I had 3. The other thing that's bothering me is I might have the wrong cover with that radio, because I've got my Mark IV-A kicking around here that I was working on, and covers off of it. So I better not sell that radio until I'm sure which cover that is on there, because I'm noticing that this has got the plain brown cover as opposed to the cover I had with this other R27 is this one with the fake wood grain. I think this might actually be the cover for my 4A. I sold that, which begs the question, where is the correct cover for that thing? Really ought to get organized around here. This one also has the actual jumper. Alright, let's, without the jumper installed, let's just power this on and see what happens. Getting the pilot lights. Throw an antenna right on here and throw a jumper on pins 4 and 5. No action from the RF gain. Yeah, this seems pretty dead. The signal meter didn't move on this one like the other one. Alright, just took the screws out. Let's see what's under the hood. What do you think? Missing tubes? All the tubes are there. Alright, let's try swapping out some tubes and see if we get anything going. Unfortunately, I only have 1/6 DS4, so I can only sub one of these out at a time. That's an original Browning tube made in the USA. That's kind of cool. The other radio had an original Browning tube in it, but it said made in Japan. Another original Browning tube. As is this IF tube, this IF tube, this IF tube, this tube. That one's been replaced. Looks like the audio tube's been replaced. And maybe the rectifier. Of course, I could have multiple tubes bad here, and that kind of... There's 6 AU6s, which I believe are a sub for 6 BA6. Oh. Well, that's noisy. 6AL5. Alright, that's it. I'm done playing with this thing. This one I'll bring to the show and sell it as complete. The audio output circuit's working, but it has no receive. Well, it's getting late. I think I'm going to have to call it quits. Got a carload of stuff, so we'll see how we do. Alright, wish me luck.